with defunding law enforcement. I mean,
that's what your report says.
Sheriff Mike Sheridan's who taught me how to drive when I was 16 years old.
Wait. Your report, when your executive director said you wanted to defund the police, do you renounce this report? Mr. Jackson, do you renounce the report that you authored as executive director? Here it is.
You're the second senator to bring up an op-ed or
this is an op-ed. This is your report, a policymaker's playbook to reduce gun violence without policing communities.
Okay.
Community Justice Action Fund, copyright 2023, when you were executive director. Now you say you don't know anything about it. Now you say that you haven't heard of it, just like the Democrats who all of a sudden say, oh, we're all for the police. They've been advocating defunding them for years.
Okay, well, you can look at documents or you can look at
My
results.
question is, do you renounce this report now? You say you no longer read this.
This may look like just another heated Senate exchange, but it's actually a test of something much deeper. Whether public officials and policy influencers can be honest about what they've advocated when confronted under oath. What's really being tested here is accountability, not just for statements, but for the real-world consequences of policy visions that shape public safety, law enforcement strategy, and community trust. This moment isn't about personalities. It's about power, responsibility, and whether shifting narratives can excuse written positions when the political climate changes. This raises broader questions about transparency in government partnerships, the credibility of advocacy organizations influencing federal policy, and how conflicting messages shape national security decisions. In this video, we'll break down how the exchange exposes contradictions, why that matters for democratic trust, and what this reveals about the future of federal public safety policy.
Thanks to all the witnesses for being here. Ms. Cook, I want to say thank you especially to you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for telling your story. And I'm sorry for what you and your family have had to endure. And it's powerful to have you here today. Thank you very much. I want to talk about some of these policies that have gotten to where we are today. Mr. Jackson, if I could just start with you. You were deputy director in the Biden White House for gun violence and a special assistant to the president. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
You're also affiliated with the Community Justice Action Fund. Is that correct?
Yes, I'm also a survivor of gun violence.
You were their executive director. When was that, the Community Justice Action Fund?
2021 to 2023.
And you're affiliated with them now?
Yes, as executive advisor.
Okay. The Community Justice Action Fund, do you disclose your donors?
Yes.
All of the donors are public?
Yes.
You're funded by the Tides Advocacy Group, among others?
They're a fiscal sponsor.
This is, right.
They handle our HR.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. This is a George Soros-funded group?
No.
He's one of the donors?
No.
He's a donor to the Tides Advocacy Group?
Yeah, that's our fiscal sponsor. So they handle our HR, our back office, our operations.
Great. Okay. Great. So in other words, I mean,
we're one of 300 organizations.
Right, that they run. You are a subset of them.
Pay them to be a fiscal sponsor.
Well, you are a subset of that organization, which he helps to fund, right? Okay. All right.
What just happened is the foundation for everything that follows. The witness is not simply offering opinion. He represents an organization deeply connected to national policy conversations. Why this matters is because credibility in policy testimony isn't just about what someone believes today, but what they have formally endorsed. When federal advisory voices come from advocacy networks with strong ideological funding streams, the public deserves clarity. What this leads to is a broader discussion about influence, who shapes national strategies, and whether political alignment outweighs practical safety outcomes.
Just wanted to get a level set here. So I want to ask you about some of the policies that you've advocated, because they're exactly what we see implemented in these blue cities, like defunding the police.
No.
Oh, indeed.
We advocate for
Wait, I haven't asked a question yet. We'll get to. I've got a lot of questions, believe me, and I'll give you time. So let's talk about this report that you issued when you were executive director, a policymaker's playbook. And I'll ask you to enter it into the record, Mr. Chairman.
Great.
Without objection.
Thank you. In this report, you advocate, and I quote now, defunding the police because the long-term goal is fundamentally to reimagine how the state serves its citizens in the project of public safety. You go on to say police departments traumatize residents through a destructive cycle of racist over-policing, and the answer is not to add any more money to police budgets. Talk to me about, why is it that denying policing to the most vulnerable communities is a solution? I know that's what the blue cities are doing, but why is that a good idea?
Well, look, I in no way stand with defunding law enforcement.
That's what your report says.
Sheriff Mike Sheridan's who taught me how to drive when I was 16 years old.
Wait. Your report, when your executive director said you wanted to defund the police, do you renounce this report? Mr. Jackson, do you renounce the report that you authored?
This isn't just a disagreement. It's a credibility checkpoint. What matters here is whether policy advocates can distance themselves from their own documents when the public response shifts. The tension highlights a recurring problem in American governance. Policies are proposed, outcomes occur, and when results are controversial, authorship suddenly becomes blurry. What this leads to is erosion of public trust and deeper divisions over public safety governance.
Executive Director. Here it is.
You're the second senator to bring up an op-ed or
This is an op-ed. This is your report, a policymaker's playbook to reduce gun violence without policing communities.
Okay.
Community Justice Action Fund, copyright 2023, when you were executive director. Now you say you don't know anything about it. Now you say that you haven't heard of it, just like the Democrats who all of a sudden say, oh, we're all for the police. They've been advocating defunding them for years.
Okay, well, you can look at documents or you can look at
My
results.
question is, do you renounce this report now? You say you no longer read this.
And my answer is that I led the efforts to invest $42 billion in law enforcement.
You've advocated defunding the police as executive director of an organization that you still lead and are affiliated with.
Never see me advocate for that directly. What you see me advocate for is a comprehensive approach to reducing violence.
Right, the comprehensive approach is defunding the police, which is what this says.
The entire time.
This is so typical of what the Democrats do now. After your policies have transparently failed and led to the deaths of millions of Americans, now you say you've never heard of defunding the police. Your own report recommends it on page after page after page. Let me ask you about something else you say. Here's what you say we ought to invest in. Instead of funding the police, here's what we ought to invest in. We need to invest in programs that acknowledge the need for safe space initiatives led by lesbian, gay, bisexual, two-spirit, trans, and gender nonconforming people. What's two-spirit?
Well, look, I don't know exactly. You guys are pulling some interesting quotes.
This is from your report.
If you look at the report, the focus is on investing in violence intervention, outreach workers,
you say that you shouldn't invest in the police, but we ought to invest in two-spirit community programs that acknowledge two-spirit.
We are not going to discriminate against that. We're not going to discriminate against any nonprofit that wants to help us prevent violence in our community.
What is two-spirit? You say don't fund the police, but do fund programs that create safe spaces for two-spirit people. What is? I just want to know. I don't know what that is. I have no idea what that is.
Well, I honestly, I'm not completely aware of the language or
you
the
wrote the
spirit of how that was
report.
written. But what I'm telling you is that
What happened here is a turning point from funding debates to ideological identity-based programming. Why it matters is because national safety policy should be grounded in outcomes, not buzzwords or symbolic gestures. When proposals feel disconnected from measurable safety needs, citizens question whether policy leadership is serious. What this leads to is a widening perception that politics is prioritizing narrative battles over practical solutions.
Is a two-spirit individual. I mean, really, this is your policymaker's playbook. You are the witness called by the Democrats on this committee, so I assume you reflect their views. Well, you don't want to fund the police. You want to fund safe spaces for two-spirit individuals. What is a two-spirit person?
I feel like I'm looking at a two-faced individual because you talk about reducing
violence. Oh, no, sir. You're looking at somebody who's reading you your own words, and I'd like to hear an answer. Here's the answer. The answer is you don't have any solutions. You want to invest in gobbledygook and take away money from police officers who actually keep our community safe, and when you're called on the record, you deny it. It's all there in black and white, and your record is there in black and white, and it's a disgrace.
We reduce homicides by 31%, and as someone who's been shot and nearly killed, I take offense that you would think that
I take offense that you won't answer my questions, that you deny your own words, and that you are leading this committee astray. And frankly, sir, your policies are absurd. They're absurd.
I don't think we're getting any place, so let's...
This final escalation reveals the core issue: competing realities. One side claims measurable success. The other claims policy failure. What matters is not who shouts louder, but whose policies withstand scrutiny, transparency, and data. The deeper issue is democratic trust. When government partners appear inconsistent or evasive, citizens lose confidence not only in them, but in the institutions hosting them. What this leads to is polarization, reduced cooperation with public safety initiatives, and long-term damage to institutional legitimacy. This hearing wasn't truly about one witness and one senator. It was about whether individuals who shape national policy can stand confidently behind their record when challenged. It was about whether advocacy organizations working alongside federal leadership owe the public honest, consistent positions. And ultimately, it was about whether our political system still values accountability over narrative survival. Democracy depends on trust. Trust requires clarity, and clarity demands that leaders, elected or influential, tell the truth about what they have supported, even when it's inconvenient. Because without that, public safety debates become theater instead of governance. And America deserves better than theater. Subscribe to Liberty Report USA. Support our work to expose the truth.